Why are you drawing on the grid?
Because I can.
You're such a terrible liar. And with horrible penmanship as well.
Hey, I'm writing with a mouse that's moving very slowly. You shut your mouth. So,
I was going to put up a picture. I will get this at some point. I swear I will.
will you?
Probably not.
I believe in you.
You probably shouldn't.
That's okay, because I was lying.
So, we have a me.
Richie McCrabby Pants strikes again.
Why did we ever change your nickname from that? So, we have a me, a Josh, we have a Jimmie, we have an Emily. And we're going to be streaming a synopsis of basically what me and Jimmie did while we were playing in person, while I lived in San Antonio, with Star Trek Adventures, with color commentary from Emily.
Yes, and this is probably the wrong file
if I
for
feel
me.
like it.
If you feel like it.
What do you mean if you feel like it? No. You've been roped into this. Plus, you're mean to me, so that means automatically you have to play.
Oh, snap.
I do what I want, I'm grown.
Okay. So
is that supposed to be the Tempest?
that is the Tempest.
We should probably introduce the Tempest when we get to the Tempest, because we spent an entire episode off the Tempest.
Yeah, that's fair. Hang on, I'll fix that. So, this is our first foray into Star Trek Adventures. I have yet to get all the system down, but it should be fun, right? It's been fun so far.
It was fun when we were playing in person. It was very fun. I miss our dinners.
Do you? I will say that some of them were not the greatest dinners.
You still have to give me a recipe for porcupine balls.
It's not that hard. I will, though.
That's exactly why I want them, bitch!
That sounds dirty.
They're delicious, though.
They are very nice. They are tasty. I should probably make those at some point. But we're getting off track. Stop it, Josh.
I stopped and everything went quiet. Oh no.
No, it's okay. I'm looking for a picture right quick, since we're starting with view image. Oh, that's fucking tiny. Oh well, I'll see if this is gonna work. Sorry to be taking forever with this.
It's okay. What are you looking for?
Oh, I found it. It's just...
Ah, yes, my friend.
So, since we are showing the ship that we're talking about that we started out with, and it's a JPEG, I don't care. It's not like nobody who is familiar with Star Trek doesn't know what this is. So maybe we should go into the characters first, and then the adventures, and as we're going through adventures, say what happened in each one.
Sure.
And then, yeah, let's do that. So first, Josh, why don't you introduce your character since you're actually here?
Okay. So, Ensign Che. We were introduced to Ensign Che as the pilot of the runabout when the episode began. Che's backstory is that he is from a large metropolitan Cation colony from worlds still unnamed.
I'll probably destroy it before we ever name it.
It's true. You've already blown up my homestead twice. Both times off screen.
I know.
But his backstory is that he was raised very rural. His family basically attended or provided luxury goods that came from a large plot of land that they owned, a forest specifically. They'd cull the wildlife and sell the byproduct. And this life was fairly idyllic until that one day when the Farazan nation attacked. Hashtag memes. And bombarded the forest and the homestead into a big crater.
I mean, I know what you're going for, but you mean that wrong.
And I don't care. Love you too. Now, so Che, after this, spent some time as a refugee with his family, and he was about 16 at this point, so a couple years of being a refugee, and he joined up with Starfleet, largely to stop being a burden to his family, and to maybe try and sort himself out as an individual a little bit, as opposed to a member of the family unit. He is a Cation. He is a Cation with cheetah-like qualities. In Academy, he basically excelled at, first and foremost, piloting craft. During his, the sophomore internship?
The sophomore field study, yeah.
Yep. He was serving on a ship called the USS Potemkin, or Ptolemy.
It was Potemkin.
Potemkin. The Potemkin, which was attacked by Raktathran raiders. In this assault, Che was manning the helm, and promptly got his hand blew off because Starfleet apparently doesn't believe in circuit breakers.
Or seatbelts.
Or seatbelts. He assisted in the escape attempts from the Potemkin, the Potemkin, and then the captain of the Potemkin took a last stand and self-destructed the ship in the range of the Raktathran raiders, blowing up their ships with our ship. Che spent a good, what would we say, like 4 or 5 months in infirmary, getting himself fitted with a prosthetic, and the bits of hand meat turned into something usable again.
Let's not also forget counseling sessions and gambling sessions with the Ferengi janitor.
Yes, the Ferengi janitor and his 3 friends took a little bit of pity on the Cation and taught him how to gamble as a way to spend time and not just have to stare at white walls in the infirmary.
They're more gray.
Fostering a love of gambling in the young Starfleet officer. After this, he went back out on field study, and had an encounter with a a largely unknown race known as the Kinshaya.
Yeah, the Holy Order of the Kinshaya.
Basically, we haven't gotten too deep into this bit of backstory, but we misunderstood them on first contact, kind of wrecked their shit, and then once we realized the mistake and Che and the crew learned the Kinshaya language, we spent a good period of our internship basically helping reconstruct what we broke.
Darmok and Jalad, that's not real.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and I think that brings it to Ensign Che, the helmsman of the Tempest, where we were introduced when he was basically picking up crewmen before regrouping on the Tempest.
Next, we had crewman Thylic Chizines. He was going to Starfleet Academy. During his sophomore field study, he was also on the Potemkin. He was also very fortunate enough to survive that experience. And during his junior year, at the tail end of the Dominion War, he and a group of other cadets thought that it would be a brave thing to steal some fighters from the Academy grounds to help try and fend off the Breen attack on Earth. Cadets died. He was expelled. Not wanting to give up the ghost on a Starfleet career, he decided to become an enlisted personnel. For the life of me, I can't remember what his second major event was.
To be honest, I don't either. I don't think he recorded it on a sheet.
To be fair, Thylic was not the most developed character. So, and that pretty much leads us up to him being assigned to the Tempest, to the engineering department, and also on the runabout with Che, and they were friends because Chizines helped Che to safety.
Yes. Well, they were kind of friends before that. Che admitted later on that he basically kind of attached himself to Chizines because Chizines was kind of a misfit and made him look good by comparison. And so he kind of had this easy, casual friendship that, you didn't have to invest a lot to maintain with the Andorian. It wasn't until the actual attack on the Potemkin and the fact that Chizines came back and hauled a despondent, traumatized Che out of an empty escape pod bay that they actually were. He was like, no, this dude, I'm going to be loyal to this dude for life.
And that was revealed in an adventure towards the end of this of the tabletop sessions.
So we'll get to that.
And then there is Lieutenant Commander Miral. That would be Frank's character, who is half Denobulan, half Klingon, whose birth only happened because the mother was bound and determined to make it happen. Because the mother is a geneticist and wanted to overcome the barriers that present themselves within both species. So we'll find out later about their relationship because the mother actually does show up. And will probably show up a lot more. I know that her and the captain of the Tempest were friends during a previous assignment. Hence why she was chosen to be the XO on the Tempest. She has 2 or 3 husbands, and I think 2 or 3 kids. I can look that up right quick. At least I hope I... Nope, I did not keep that down whatsoever. Her father... What's up?
I am sure we can ask Frank. I think he remembers.
He's currently not in the room. Her father was... His background is kind of shrouded in mystery. He's technically a son of none, so he claims no house within the Empire. We learn more about that later. And trying to remember what's... Oh, and during career event was that during one of her previous assignments, she had a friend who ended up dying on an away team, and it's kind of affected. Now, Morale isn't on the runabout when the adventure starts. They, Che and Shazeen are going from Earth to pick up the last notable NPC.
My favorite NPC.
Yes, Josh's favorite NPC, crewman Gerada Lister, who is half
The janitor.
Zindi primate. No, she's a botanist. Half Zindi primate, half human. And she is... We haven't really delved into her background too much because she doesn't talk about it.
Oh, shit,
But
I just
we know-
realized Josh
What?
is playing a cat person who hangs around with someone named Lister.
Shush your face.
Wait, I'm not getting this reference. Please elaborate.
Red Dwarf.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the main character's Lister, and one of his best friends is the cat.
Okay, I do remember you saying that the main character was named Lister.
Yes.
But since I have not seen Red Dwarf, I wasn't aware there was a cat person.
Well, he's human mostly.
He's
okay.
He's a descendant of Lister's cat,
Who
Frankenstein.
who after a million years has evolved into a mammalian life form who just looks mostly human, except he has fangs and cat-like mannerisms. But I will say, Shay is not as flamboyant, and Lister's not a screw-up. So,
No. What is known about Lister is, I don't know if I said it in game. She is a descendant of the guy who I'm not gonna say discovered because it's not the right term, but brought sterilization to hospitals. And she's she has been a disciplinary problem in the past.
which is probably
Nothing-
why,
Wink, wink.
Nothing major. Just she's not very cordial. She speaks her mind, and she's not very into social norms.
Wink, wink again.
So with the character introductions out of the way, Josh and Darby, or Che and Darby's character, it doesn't matter. Anyway, Che and Shazines go to Rigel 9, which is an independent trading post. And while going to pick up Lister from a location that they do not know, they leave the runabout unguarded, knowing full well that there were Ferengi. Let's go with merchants. Ferengi merchants.
Hold on. You're missing a whole heap of details here. Specifically, Lister was supposed to meet them at the spaceport. She was not there.
Right.
She was not there. So Che and Shazine are like, okay, well, we're just going to have to go find her. So they leave the runabout, do some questioning around the spaceport of various individuals, meet these Ferengi. Che actually kind of has a fondness for Ferengi, so he trusts them.
Well, there's your problem.
And Shazines doesn't... oh, God, I don't even know what was going through his head. Doesn't matter. So we get information that, yeah, she kind of went to one of the nearby gambling halls. While there, Che realizes that there are a bunch of Farazan, so he's like, considering the tensions between their race and my race, I really shouldn't travel alone. So he takes Shazines with him and trusts that the defense systems on the runabout will be enough to, not let people inside the runabout. I asked this question specifically of Jimmie. He's laughing because he knows he's a dick. So we go find Miss Lister.
I took advantage of somebody who wasn't aware of Star Trek lore.
Yes, he did. He's a naughty boy. So we find Miss Lister in one of the gambling halls. We let her finish up her round of Dabo, and we go to the runabout to find it's been torn into. Its security systems have been bypassed. The door is open, and they stole our plasma coils.
Plasma injectors.
Injectors. Sorry.
So, I forgot to mention, Gerardo Lister, much like Che, is also an avid gambler.
So we use some of Lister's winnings to buy ourselves some new plasma injectors and get on our way, pick up Moral, and report the theft to her, being our XO.
Moral's response was to hunt them down.
Yes, because they'd stolen plasma injectors and a weapons locker.
A typically Klingon response.
Yes.
Well, they were gonna... Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. Gotta love Jimmie's responses.
So, they begin pursuing the Ferengi and ultimately come across this massive energy storm. I guess is the best term for it, but there's also a distress signal, an ion storm. But they received a distress signal from the Ferengi, so Frank was like, "Okay, we're just gonna go get our shit back and maybe leave them here." Or was that the opening thought?
Yep. And so, into the ion storm we went.
Well, in the middle of this ion storm, there is this massive station, and it is generating the ion storm. This adventure, by the way, is called the Citadel.
I thought it was called the Space Station of Doom,
No.
or as I liked to call it.
No, Josh, no.
Don't make me sing it, Jimmie.
No,
Do
Josh.
it!
No.
Do it!
I started
Do
referring
it!
to it as the Space Station California. Because you can check in, but you can't never leave.
God damn it, Josh. I can't wait to have a Discord server that I can use so I can just put you in the naughty chat room.
Dirty.
Is this before or after I teach you how to make it? So yes.
After.
So yes, we get to the space station, and we find the floating Ferengi ship, obtain our weapons locker and our plasma coils, or plasma injectors.
Was the ship not in a tractor beam as well?
Yeah, it was tractor beamed to the station, and just kind of floating there. And
The Ferengi ship.
we beamed over to there, and we took our stuff back.
Yep.
This is when
go
Che
ahead.
was like, technically at this point, Commander, mission is accomplished. Hang on a moment.
Yes. But then, that's right, and then it was basically, we'll leave them here.
Che put it out as he didn't actually want to leave them there, because it was obvious that their ship had suffered some form of malfunction. But at the same time, he felt it only logical to turn to the commander and go, we could just leave, right?
What?
Yeah, it's not a. You'll find out that Jag has a lot to do with this crew during this season. But they end up being beamed aboard the station after their runabout was tractor beamed, because I don't think it was tractor beamed at first.
No, it wasn't. Che and Moral beam over to the station to try and find the Ferengi and help them, and then the ship, or the station, automatically tractor beamed our ship and beamed Shazine's over.
And Lister.
And Lister, who was also there, yes.
So they're in Shazine's. Weren't even you and Moral beamed into the quarantine chamber? Because I could swear that everybody was locked in the quarantine chamber to begin with.
No, because Che and Moral were on the other ship.
Frank was nodding his head.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think what ended up happening was you beamed over to the Ferengi ship to get the stuff back. You beamed back aboard the runabout after there was reported issues because Shazine and Lister were beamed aboard, and then you guys were beamed aboard.
Yes, this is the flow of events so far. Yes.
Okay, so now with everybody in the quarantine area, I think somebody made a perception roll and realized that, or no, I think you guys just broke out at that point, right?
We figured out how to open the door.
Yeah, you guys figured out how to open the door.
Lister.
Lister apparently figured out, oh god, Lister's a fucking Wesley Crusher of the ship.
Right. This is when Lister and Shazine got in that big fight, and because Lister revealed that her boyfriend had been one of the cadets, and they came to blows over it.
Yeah. And she won that fight because Darby's rolls are shit.
It's not even because Darby's rolls are shit. Darby's character, despite picking traits that would make him a melee combatant, doesn't have any ability to do melee, and yet he insists on trying. I think he needs to get a 9 or less on a D20 in order to actually successfully melee.
Yeah. His chances aren't good. So sorry, but they get out, they find out the station is a cold storage for some virus that killed out an entire species. And so they start researching the disease, and I can't remember exactly when you guys got the Ferengi out.
We pretty much left them in there until it became obvious that we needed more help.
That's right. So they find out about this virus. They find out it was highly contagious, and then, of course, oh, that's right. They found a biobed in one of the adjoining rooms and scanned everybody, and they found out that Lister was infected. And thus began the time of trying to cure the virus without a medical officer, and trying to find a way to get the tractor beam shut down. So, realizing that they needed more... Wait, when was Darby's big fuck up? Was it before or after the Ferengi were released?
After. Because I remember that once the quarantine hit, because Lister was infected, we had to go up to Ops, try to get the power going. He fucked up twice there. He had to go back down to engineering and fucked up a third time.
That's right. And I know that down in main engineering... Oh no, it was up in Ops. Up in Ops, he overloaded a plasma conduit that shot down through the exterior of the station because he failed so badly. Because he's a wonderful engineer. And I think at that point when the plasma conduits exploded, that's when he deactivated the cold storage, right? Because that's when things started really hitting the fan.
Yep. Because yeah.
The station goes into quarantine mode and activated their last acquisition before the entirety of the species went extinct. And that was an Echo Papa. Do you remember that episode, Emily?
No, I don't think so.
It was the first episode TNG where they're fighting against this drone that keeps adapting.
Oh, and it turned out the station was just like was some kind of alien life form.
No, it was just like a testing ground. It was like a car lot. Like, oh, this is what you get if you buy this.
Okay, that wasn't the first episode of TNG.
No, I said it's in the first season.
Oh, first. Oh, sorry. Okay.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, okay, I got you now.
And so not only did they have the Echo Papa after them, but now they needed to figure out a way to cure the virus. So through a law, so they released the Ferengi and managed to convince them to help them. I can't remember exactly what was used as barter.
Either way, so the Echo Papa activates and starts basically purging decks, if I remember right.
Yes. Yep, it purges the decks of any living material. So everybody's on a mad dash to try and get the virus cured, find the origin of the virus to better understand it, and so on and so forth. Che ends up going down into the cold storage to grab a sample of virus, while Neural read more data into the virus. And while the Ferengi and Darby worked on getting the tractor beam shut down. So ultimately what the story was that this species was killed off by an alien encounter that they had no idea who they were, but it was essentially a Warp 5 vessel from Earth in Starfleet, and essentially the virus was the flu.
The space flu.
So after creating the vaccine, they managed to lower the tractor beams, but in one last monumental action of stupidity, Darby shrinks the safe zone around the station to where no ship can ever get close to the station again.
What?
The station was generating the storm, and it had like a safe zone.
Did he do it by accident? Did he roll badly,
Yes,
or
he
okay?
rolled badly again.
Because remember, he screwed up. He screwed up 3 times. The first time he screwed up, he activated the security system. The second time he screwed up, he killed the power. And then the third time he screwed up, I think that's when the big explosion happened, and he ended up shrinking the ion storm around us, so that eventually we're just going to get eaten by the ion storm.
I mean, okay.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. Just a lot of bad rolls, I guess.
That is what Darby is notorious for.
And also trying to repeatedly fix things when he should really move on. Anyway, so luckily, with the help of some Ferengi, with the Ferengi engineer, we managed to get the stuff fixed up. The problems resolved. Lister cured. Our stuff back. Oh, I traded the cold storage suit away for fun. I think that was I traded away that in a single.
That was the fee.
Yeah, I think that for the fee for her helping was the cold storage suit that I was wearing, and the fee for their medical officer to help out with Lister was a single gold plus platinum. Well, it really wasn't even that. He was just complaining that yeah, that he wasn't going to be paid for his services, and Shay's like, there, that's all I got. I got a single gold plus platinum. There you go. It's something, and it's something in your life.
So he begrudgingly took it, and that was the end of that adventure. As everyone went their separate ways. Because the other thing is that for helping out with the station, the Ferengi also got amnesty
Right.
for the petty crimes.
And then we went to the Tempest, where there were words to be had. Mostly at how many times those Ferengi got brutalized.
Well, they did complain.
I would too. There was much ear tweaking. And I think one of them got punched in the face.
Yes. Morale punched one of them in the face.
And Lister tweaked the other one's ear because he made a misogynist comment.
Yes.
Yes. So I think that takes us out of episode 1 and into episode 2. Episode 1 was a long one. It lasted 2 parts.
I didn't realize this was all still episode 1.
Oh yeah, no, this was episode 1.
Yeah, it took us 2 sessions to get all the way through episode 1. There was a lot that happened.
Actually, a lot of the episodes took place over like 2 or 3 weeks.
Because we were meeting every Saturday for this. What was episode 2, Jimmie? Oh, yes! Cardassia has suffered enough.
So, this is the Tempest. Well, it's the same class of ship. It's obviously not the Tempest.
Here, I'm gonna fix this.
What are you gonna fix?
Just keep going. Describe the episode.
Okay, so after meeting with the rest of the staff, we got to meet Captain Atan, joined Trill, and to kind of riff off of Gilligan's Island and the rest. Because in all honesty, with only 3 players, I didn't really want to play every other senior officer. So a lot of the adventures kind of took the players away from the ship in some fashion. The Tempest, this adventure was called In the Ashes of War, and they were ordered to report to DS9 for supplies to offer aid to Cardassia.
I have a question, actually. I don't know if we covered this tonight. What time period does this take place in?
A year after the Dominion War. Well, technically, it's 2376. So yeah, a year after the war. But so they are offering industrial replicators and medical aid to the provisional Cardassian government. And almost immediately, Josh is abducted, while Moral and Thylik have beamed down with the medical supplies and medical teams for aid. Josh needs to take the industrial replicators down via shuttle and is abducted by Cardassian terrorists that believe that they are still part of the Dominion. And that the provisional government are traitors. And they're not super developed in this adventure. Sad to say.
We'll have time for that later.
But so Shay's abducted and interrogated.
And there's this interrogation like a sassy asshole.
Yes, he does. So while down on the away team, a small Cardassian boy comes up to Chazine's and instructs that his family needs assistance with, I forget exactly what it was. I think it was like replicators or something.
Yeah, something like their food went out or something like that.
Yeah, it was some engineering problem. So Chazines follows him without telling anyone. Where he is led into a trap by a different group. This one being made up of Maquis people who managed to somehow survive, Kon Ma, Maquis sympathizers, just relative Cardassians or bastards groups. And is kidnapped. And the Cardassian boy is executed. So Frank is by himself, and he has to figure out exactly what happened to both groups, or to both the other players. I really wish I kept more notes on this one because I do not remember.
This is one of the episodes before Jimmie had learned that this game is very, very big and important on the note-taking.
Yes.
So, I do remember this. That basically Che was inside was captive with the person who had been riding passenger with him, our chief of security, Luarin. It was Luarin, right?
That's right.
The Bajoran.
No. Luarin is the Cation science officer.
Right.
Or was. It was Linares.
Linares is the Bajoran chief of security. And they're the Cardassians are trying to get them to hand over the codes to the ship, because even though the Ferengi can get into it no problem, apparently the Cardassians can't. Meanwhile, like he said, Chazine's been kidnapped by the Maquis, or a Maquis-like faction. And Moral has to figure out where these two individuals went. She does some digging and speaks with the head of the provincial government?
The liaison with the provisional government. Her name is Celine Rosette.
Yep. Who basically figures out that I guess her father's involved with the True Way individuals.
Yeah, the Cardassians still loyal to the Dominion are called the True Way, and her father is the leader of it.
Yep, and she basically tells Moral where to go. During this time, we find out that the chief of security, one of her pips on her collar is actually an active grenade.
Well, it's a material that when energized creates an explosion.
What's it called, Jimmie?
Nitrium.
Yes, she has a Nitrium pip on her collar. So we brace against the walls, throw that at the door, and blow it right open. Or on the energy field, and blow that sucker right open. And Che and her escape. Little did we know that 3 floors directly above us, Moral is meeting with the True Way to try and get us back. And that erupts into a firefight. So
Yes.
Moral and I think 6 security forces, 6 red shirts, engage in a firefight. A firefight which brings down the ruins that they're in, killing 4 of the Ricky red shirts.
Sounds about right.
Che might have also helped by blowing a few things up, because again, Starfleet doesn't believe in circuit breakers, so as I blow things up below, with my new Cardassian disruptor rifle, they blow up upstairs, leveling catwalks and things like that. And we end up emerging just as Moral's about to head down, and we go, oh hi, Commander. So Jimmie, what has the Andorian been doing the entire time during this?
So when we left off the first part of the session, or the first part of the adventure, it's revealed that these terrorists have devised a bomb utilizing a stolen warp core, and have hooked it up to be powered, but have deactivated the safety protocol, the safeties to prevent a breach. So essentially, kind of like a dirty bomb, and they just needed Darby's character's help to set it up. And in order to prevent any deception, they posted a Betazoid guard. So then the next session starts, the next part of the adventure begins, and everybody is trying to find where the terrorists are holed up. And they eventually find it because of the liaison, right? Because she lets them know like where a place is big enough. Because during the time where they're searching for them, it's discovered that what a previous starship that had come by delivering supplies, they had parts stolen from their ship.
Yep. And so Darby is currently making the dirty bomb, covered in trilithium.
They're also using trilithium resin with it.
Yeah, trilithium resin to basically turn this warp core into a planet cracker.
Well, what they hope is a planet cracker.
Yeah. And so we figure out, we get a plan. We're going to basically take some replicate a bunch of anesthesia, anesthetic gas.
Yeah, it was the methazine gas.
Yes, yeah. From medbay. Hook it up to the air system and knock everyone the hell out. Go in there and get rid of the bomb. Which we do, for the most part.
This is where Darby makes one of his phenomenal roles and actually builds the bomb. Yes,
he does. He succeeds in flying colors to build this bomb. He builds one of the best possible bombs. Hardest to disarm that it possibly could be. And he doesn't have a gas mask. So he can't undo his mistake. So it falls to Che.
Yeah, that's right.
It falls to Che to try and disarm this bomb with Darby's character's help. Darby's character continues to not be a help.
No, because he's all groggy from anesthetizing gas.
Yes, trying to fix it with massive debilitating penalties because he can't see straight. Until Che kicks Chizines out of the way and goes, "I'll do it. Just tell me what to do." And with a little help, manages to disarm the bomb. And the day is saved.
You used momentum for that, right?
Oh, so much momentum.
Yes. Okay. So, yeah. So he was able to deactivate the bomb, and they destroyed the last ship that was the last Maquis raider that was on the planet's surface.
Oh,
And
yes.
essentially killing the Konma.
Killing the Konma. Also, wasn't one of the members literally Riker's clone?
Yeah, it was Thomas Riker.
Yeah, Thomas Riker. So that was a thing. We met Thomas Riker.
And killed him?
Well, they don't know if they killed him. They know they killed the other leader of this terrorist group.
Yeah,
A Bajoran woman.
we collapsed a. Didn't Maral collapse? Because Maral was handling that part of the assault. Didn't she basically drop a bunch of photon grenades or phaser grenades down a shaft and drop the cave onto the ship?
Yeah, pretty much.
And so the confirmed kill was the leader. We did not find the body of Thomas Riker, so he might be dead in our timeline. He might not be. And that took us into episode 3, the bottle ship episode, and one of the longest episodes.
But one of the best episodes.
But one of the best episodes. The one where Jimmie wouldn't tell us the title of the episode until the end of the episode.
Yeah, because I couldn't. It would give it away.
Basically what happened is, Jimmie, the episode begins with Che receiving a letter that basically the new homestead his family has set up on the Cation homeworld, considering they couldn't go back to their original homestead, has been, like, because of all this stuff with the Dominion War, the Farazans took it as an opportunity to resume conflict with the Cations.
Conflict. Yeah.
Yeah, because the Cations refused to step in on part of their war. I think the Cations' neutrality was the reason, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, the Cations retained neutrality in a conflict between the Farazans and
Lyrans.
And the Lyrans, and so they basically took their neutrality, and the Dominion War is a excuse to resume conflicts with that species. My species. And so they bombarded the homeworld, and my family once again are now refugees. Thanks, Jimmie.
You're very welcome.
So that it begins with that, and then we bum around the ship for a bit because it's a bottle ship episode.
Yeah, we did a social scene with I think Che started up people watching.
Yes, Che started people watching, and he also started. Well, the counselor kept trying to get him to talk with him, and Che kept dodging like real hard.
Oh, wait, no. I forgot.
What?
I remember now how you guys found the Maquis base with the bomb from the last adventure.
Oh, was it important?
Because you dressed up as a Farazan.
Right,
And Maral and you basically intimidated the fuck out of a captured Maquis personnel because the counselor knew he was wanted in the Klingon Empire.
Yes, and so we intimidated the hell out of him and used a bunch of threats of violence to get what we wanted, and I took a reputation hit for that. Because I took it too far.
You also kind of took a step backwards in relations with the science officer.
Who saw me wandering around as a Farazan. Yeah.
Yes.
So
anyway.
So yes, this episode begins with me dodging the counselor and trying to deal with my whole fact my family is again refugees. And then we go to sleep. And when we wake up, suddenly we're in different quarters, in different uniforms, with pips we shouldn't have, doing shifts that are not our shifts, because we've all been promoted to like the highest grades that we've could possibly reach.
Right.
Yeah.
Moral was captain. You were a lieutenant commander, and also the executive officer. And somehow Darby's character was a lieutenant commander and chief of engineering.
Yep. And we find out that we have somehow been shunted. Was it 7 years into the future?
8 years.
8 years. 8 years into the future. And we have no idea how this happened. Thus begins us trying to figure out how the hell we ended up in this temporal loop, or this temporal forward jump, alongside being tasked with the fact that in this timeline, apparently, the Farazans are now in a full-fledged war with the Federation, and they're
grown exponentially.
Exponentially. They now have the ability to produce dreadnoughts, and they're attempting to get the Gorn into an alliance with them through acquisition of a weapon. What was it called, Jimmie?
Oh, the Vacus.
The Vacus. Okay. And that pretty much concluded part 1 of this. Part 2 began with Che in the holodeck trying to relieve some stress with games, specifically playing chess against an AI opponent who literally took the form of the Grim Reaper. Che is very bad at chess. And finally flips the table on the chessboard and challenges Death to a different game. Arcturian battle cards. Leading Jimmie to stop game and go, "Josh, did you just Yu-Gi-Oh my Star Trek?" And I said yes. So once Death activates my trap card, and I finally beat him.
Did you have the heart of the cards, Josh?
And Che has the heart of the cards.
Had the heart of the cards.
I have the heart, liver, and spleen of the cards.
Oh snap!
So, with this done, I win a set of 3 questions from Death.
Yep.
And we move on, and I ask my questions and receive some cryptic answers. And Che resolves to end this scenario, this mission that they're on, to stop the Vacus. Meanwhile, Shazines is trying desperately to figure out time travel, figure out how the hell that he can get back home, and everything else, to the frustration of Moral, who's like, we can't. That's probably not going to. Whatever.
Because
to sum it up
essentially, in this future, the Farazans have taken territory from the Klingons. They're actually openly attacking the Klingons as well as the Federation, and the Federation has lost major territory.
Yep.
And then they find out that in this information gathering time that Lister died, so did Captain Ton. The Tempest has no science department.
Yeah, it's been retrofitted to a full warship. And also, basically, we find out that everyone who we care about on the ship has in some way been claimed as a casualty of this war. Whether they had to leave the Tempest because of its retrofit into a full warship and lack of a science department, or they just fucking died. Again, thank you, Jimmie.
You're welcome. So throughout this whole thing, they're being helped by two NPCs. Lieutenant Commander Rogers, who is the Chief of Security, and Lieutenant Quinn, who is now the Helm Officer.
So I think we should fast forward past it, because literally I can sum up this next part with Che and Chazine kind of faff about, Che going about the mission, and Chazine's literally almost getting himself thrown in the bridge, asking about how time travel works to everyone.
Yeah.
And Morale getting steadily more frustrated with Chazine's.
Because he's focusing completely on traveling back in time.
Yep. Rather than the mission that we have in front of us. That we need to complete one way or another. So, we finally get to the Vacus. Che ambushes and we remove some Farazans. We get down to the Vacus and find the true nature of the device.
Well, you're cutting out a huge portion of this.
Okay, what was it of significance?
The Lyrans.
Oh yes, we learn Che has that one thing happen where he learns that his race is entirely wrong about the Lyran species. They are not barbaric savages. They're actually pretty nice people who are currently helping his family in this timeline, making him spend the rest of this adventure questioning, have I been wrong in all my held beliefs?
But it also introduces a new NPC into this, of Tias, a woman of unknown origin. She is not Lyran, but she serves with the Lyrans.
Right. Oh yeah, because we met the Kinshaya ship.
Yep. You had that hour-long preparation before dinner.
Yep. And we meet this NPC who comes to serve aboard the Tempest as well. She's
as a
weird.
liaison.
She's kind of odd, and no one quite understands her.
She's friendly, it's just nobody understands her.
Yeah, she's obviously of a very different culture than us. This comes into significance at the end of this part 2, when we try and get friendly with the liaison. Che does. Gets invited to a little bit of a celebration or a drinking thing with the current captain, Captain Morale. Drink some blood wine, get drunk, and then once we're all good and drunk, this NPC drops on us. So, what time are you from?
No, it was, why did you bring me here? Or
Oh, yes.
why did you bring me to the future?
Why did you bring me to the future? And that ends in the dun 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 moment and takes us into part 3. Now we're to the Vacus.
First, still en route to where the Vacus is, this weapon. The Tempest cloaks, because apparently in this future, it has not a Romulan cloaking device. It is a different type of cloaking device. It's essentially a crystalline resin that, when energy is funneled through it, it essentially cloaks the ship.
This is how we get behind enemy lines.
So, anyway...
And Jimmie, what happens to this wonderful new Federation cloaking device?
So, Darby, while researching time travel, decides to go to the holodeck. And he is he has looked up every form of time travel that has ever happened, where he runs across, and while he's doing this, he runs across death.
And why does he do this?
Because apparently Josh didn't deactivate the program. At least that's what Death says.
Out of character, why does he do this?
Because he wants to play a game.
Yes. No, I meant Darby specifically, because Darby has a theme that emerges at this point. If it worked for one player, it'll definitely work for me.
That is true.
So what does he do with death?
So he plays he plays a game of chess with death. Was it chess? It was chess, right?
It was chess. Che was the only one who broke away from the chess thing because, again, Che finds chess table-flippingly awkward.
Oh, okay. I remember what it was. There was the whole thing of, I will answer 3 questions. And then Darby goes, and if I lose, Death goes, I'll make something interesting will happen.
He says something interesting will happen.
So Darby agrees, knowing full well that you should never play against any character that leaves a vague, open-ended statement like that. So he loses the chess match, and as a consequence, he is called away to main engineering to find out that somehow the power system for the holodeck bridged into the power system for the cloaking device and overloaded it, essentially frying off the crystal and resin from the hull.
Emily, you were actually here for this. This is when I literally went on Discord and went, guys, I know how to fix the cloaking device. All we need is a bunch of mirrors.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, I remember that.
This was happening in real time. I was on my phone Discording this as he suggested it.
I mean, you know, it could work if you were like a 5 billion miles away and looking at it visually through a telescope.
He spent so long trying to fix this cloaking device. When it was obvious that Jimmie's something interesting will happen will just be your ability to move safely through enemy space has now been removed.
Because the only way to get that resin back is to go to Space Dock and have it reapplied.
Yep. So, was there anything else that happened between here and us making Planetfall? I can't remember too well.
I think you fought off a Dreadnought.
Yes, we fought off a Faraz and Dreadnought.
Which was so much fun.
Oh, oodles of fun. Space battle happened.
So, space battle happened. You get to the planet and take a shuttle down.
Mm-hmm.
You land outside of the crater, and it's. One thing that we did forget was that after the drinking scene with Tias, it is revealed that she has healing capabilities, which we delve into a little bit more, I think, in the next adventure.
Yeah, she's of a race that's not been seen in a long, that is kind of unknown, and due to some form of life path she holds to, she has healing capabilities. But she's being really cagey about it too throughout the entire episode. She doesn't want to tell us anything.
So we find out that they run into a group of Gorn / Farazans. Or was it just Farazans?
I think it was just for Razans.
Guarding this obelisk. So there's a ground battle. It's revealed here that Tias also, because of her path, cannot kill. So that fight happens. You guys get into the obelisk, and they take an elevator that goes down. I think it was about a mile, right?
Yeah, about a mile down into the planet's crust. Something like that.
Where they uncover what the Bacchus is. It is not a weapon, it is a species. And much like the Jem'Hadar, they're bred in tanks.
And programmed from a central computer to wage war.
And the reason why it is such a devastating weapon was that there were 16 billion Bacchus in vats that went across a third of the planet.
And down there with them is Iaconian gateways, primed
They
and
have
set. Yeah.
to various locations. Because they serve something that the Gorn had worshipped in the past before, called the Scourge. And they are apparently some sort of, like Q's, judgmental assholes that never find anything deemed worthy of surviving, and they just wipe things out. Think of them kind of like the Reapers from Mass Effect. So, they realize as more dreadnoughts are coming that they need to destroy the Bacchus, but the only way to do that is to overload the systems, which will destroy the planet. So after a few scrambled hurried attempts to try and find something that they can do to where they don't die, they bit the bullet and were like, we can't safely get away. So it's just to overload everything. So they do. At which point, the program ends. They find themselves in the holodeck. They've been there for 2 weeks. It is... Tias is still with them. What were you saying?
This is when Josh is about to flip the table.
And standing with them is Lieutenant Commander Rogers and Lieutenant Quinn, who reveal themselves as Q. And all of this was a safer way of ensuring that not humanity as a whole, but the Federation is ready for what is coming.
Did you punch him?
When Death appeared behind them as the Trelane Q, yes, Che almost punched him. Not out of like a frustration.
Should have punched him.
not out of a frustration, but rather just because that dude appeared behind him really suddenly. And you really don't pull that shit on a dude who's part cat.
Just should have pulled a full Ben Sisko and just punched him in the face.
Yeah, you should have. Picard never hits me. I'm not Picard.
That was one of the best lines.
It was. But so they so with this new traveler on board, they make a resolution after, embracing Lister against her will.
In another one of those, Che did it, so I'm going to do it too, this time for morale. Che gives her a hug and is like, I know you don't like being hugged, but I'm hugging you anyway.
Didn't Thylik do it too?
No, Thylik knew better. He went in to try, and then he realized it'd be really dumb. But no, Che gave her a hug.
Especially considering. So they, so that was kind of the end of that adventure, with a vow to go to the planet to find out if this was all real. This adventure left Che reeling from the fact that maybe everything that the Caitians have been telling him all this time isn't exactly true. Because they were under the impression that the Lyrans were a barbaric species, and they're not really.
Yep.
So, and that was kind of the end of that adventure. And the next was in Judgment Shadow, which is basically just a follow up to this. I think it was only one session. Because I know that okay, so Judgment Shadow also had Moral's mother.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And so that was fun.
All of the you have to go into some of the awkward questions she asked. I need a record of this.
I know that one of the first things she asked when encountering like the Q and the and Tias was, had she taken a genetic scan? She was very she was single-minded about that one thing, about getting genetic scans, about everything. It's also this adventure that we find out about some potential drama between Moral's mother and the counselor. Because apparently the counselor had dated within the massive extended family of the Denobulan, of Moral's Denobulan side of the family. And we got introduced to a new game.
Yes, we did. Because
that was part card game, part American Gladiators.
we need to probably go back for that one. Because of all this, Che's been seeing the counselor. And this is actually where Che gets a lot of his really good roleplay, which I cannot reproduce. Because I basically was improvising heavily and acting. And I can't just do that at the drop of the hat. So this is actually where Che's primary form of roleplay in this game comes, is when he talks with the counselor and like admits things. This is, I believe, also when he admitted that the reason his family was so rural and isolated, despite living on one of the largest, most metropolitan colonies that the Caitians had founded, was because his grandfather was a Farazan sympathizer, believing that the Farazans were in fact right, pacifism is not a good way, peace is not a good thing, and that their species does need to genetically modify themselves to for strength. This is a view shared by his father, who just took a lesser version of it. Pacifism is wrong, and not quite so much into the no eugenics and genetic modification, bitches. He wasn't quite so sold on that, and his father held those beliefs for most of his life until the bombardment happened, which kind of woke him up hardcore. So yeah, that's something that was admitted in this session, and showed that Che's own kind of fanatical devotion to his own pacifism, and yet why he's so problematic with it, comes from this. The more you know.
Oh. All right, thank you.
I totally made Jimmie lose his train of thought.
No, I was asking Frank for something I didn't realize he had already done a while ago. Just your face. Go away. Conceited much?
I'm saying that you love this face.
Okay, we are recording this, so go away. Fly. So that was a counseling session. That was Moral's mother. Because every Star Trek needs to have the eccentric parent. Isn't that right, Emily?
I'm sorry, what was that? Every Star Trek needs the what now?
Have the eccentric parent.
Oh, yeah, of course. Come on now.
Loxana was amazing.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
So during the counseling session, I introduced a game I had in the Star Trek email, my Star Trek email game, and called Kobarat, and it's a mixture of a card game / the American Gladiators jousting game.
What?
Essentially, there is a table. The players sit around the table. They play a round of cards. Whoever are the last two players of that round go and joust somebody out of the circle.
It was fun.
That sounds crazy.
It was
Well, it's
crazy
an
and
alien
fun.
species game, but it was fun. We shall have to when you start playing, Emily. We shall have to do it again.
Yes.
Okay.
And so what was? Oh yes, we this was the episode where we went to go and confirm what the Q had revealed to us. Yes.
Yes. So you guys, so the crew went to the planet after getting permission from the Gorn, and then they were the obelisk was there. They went down. Oh well, no. First off, there once you got down to the planet, there was an unknown energy signature that put TS on edge. Because the
Right.
same away team went down that was in the holodeck simulation, plus some security officers. So after going down, they meet a woman who um, is from Tia's species and who had initially, well, the reason why she was there was the reason why Tias was in the simulation to begin with was that in the simulation as well as in real life there was a, a data core from Tias' species that was powering the gateways and all of the knowledge to take out or to train the Vacus. So that's what this woman was here for, and she also demanded that Tias get surrendered because she is a traitor. Uh, there's a bit of negotiating where the species is revealed to be called the Cryon. And they allow Corvosis, the woman, to take the data cube, and she allows them to keep Tias. At which point, the crew scans the computers and finds out that the Vacus is entirely a real thing, but the facility was still under construction. So they were able to stop the construction of the facility, at which point Frank turned around and started, or Moral actually successfully, despite the Klingon heritage, negotiated a peace deal with the Cryon.
I was so proud.
It was amazing. Considering that I have used Corvosis in past games before, Frank has played in all of them, and he knows that they are not a friendly people. So, at this point, a peace treaty is made, and Corvosis tells them that she will select an ambassador to kind of interact between the two of them, the Cryon Imperiex and the Federation. So everyone beams up to their ships, and a little while later, the away team is beamed back over to the Cryon ship that had appeared in orbit. Their scout ship is what I say, like 3-4 times the size of the Tempest. And heavily fortified. Josh?
Sorry. I was running around, turning on some whites and grabbing some water.
Oh, okay. So anyway, they meet the new ambassador, who is a founder named Olar. At this point, the entire truth of the Cryon is revealed. They are apparently they refer to themselves as a transdimensional species. Uh-oh. What did you send me, Emily?
So a transdimensional species.
And that this founder is not from this reality. She is from another reality where the Dominion were peaceful. And the Dominion was much more Federation-like in the Gamma Quadrant. So there is a provision that if anything happened to the ambassador, Corvosis would personally kill Moral. And then shit would get real. So with that adventure ended. The next one was Flesh and Bone. This adventure started out with the Tempest crew at Earth at the demand of Admiral Nechayev.
Oh, this one was fun.
And essentially, every single past mistake that had happened up until that point was brought up with the JAG officer right beside her.
It was so much fun.
Oh yeah, it was.
Moral got bitched at. Chazine's got bitched at. Well, Chazine's didn't get bitched at that hard, actually. Like,
no, he actually made it out the easiest.
Because
the only thing that happened was the JAG officer just so happened to be the one that prosecuted him and got him expelled from Starfleet Academy.
And so they basically looked him down and went, "We already know you're a screw up, so we're not going to waste too much time on you." At least that's the way I took it, basically.
Yeah, they did say that if you mess up again, you're out.
Yeah, on no certain terms.
But Emily, you're familiar with Admiral Nechayev, right?
With who? What? How? What?
Admiral Nechayev.
It does sound familiar, but I'm drawing a blank right now.
She's the blonde admiral that's kind of a bitch to Picard.
Okay, yes.
So after that, they discover that the JAG officer has been assigned to the Tempest as a Starfleet observer. Or was that after this? No, it was this one. So the Tempest leaves the Sol system and carries on with its mission of doing a planetary survey on a planet on the edge of Federation space, where while they are conducting their survey, it's Lister, Chazine's, or no, what? Yeah, it was Chazine's.
Yeah, Lister, Chazine's, and Moral were part of the away team to gather specimens.
That's right, botanical specimens.
Yep.
So they while on the planet conducting a survey, Che uncovers a structure a few kilometers, 5 kilometers away. It's about 2.5 miles, or 2, I don't know. Anyway, and they go to investigate it while Lister and No, actually, Lister did go with you, right? Or did no? Security monitored Lister while you guys went, or did she go? It doesn't matter. Anyway, so after trekking through the dense jungle, they get to where the structure is, and Che immediately goes to that. This is a joke. He didn't really do this, but he goes to that typical cat thing where his tail fluffs and he kind of lurches up to make himself look bigger.
Yes, this is a joke. It did not actually happen.
No, it didn't actually happen, but it's a Ractithran facility.
You know, those guys who attacked Potemkin in the backstory. Those guys.
So they are so while they are monitoring the facility, a group of Ractithran come out of a doorway, prodding along somebody that Che knew from the Potemkin. Well, Che and Chazines knew, and who had been reported dead, and they immediately slaughter her like a pagan eater. Because that's just how much fun the Ractithran are. It is here where one of the disposable characters vomits.
Red shirt.
Poor Ensign Fulmer.
Oh, you recorded his name.
No name.
No, he had a name, Fulmer. He puked.
Yeah, he was a science officer. So anyway, they all leave because they realize that this is what the Ractithran. Well, I don't think they knew what the facility was called until the leader said what it was, but they did know through tricorder scans that there were several Federation citizen life signs. There were a couple of Romulans and Klingons in there as well. But it was essentially a prison camp, so they all run because they're also outnumbered. Well, they get kind of back to where the rest of the away team was, and find out that their comms have been disrupted. So they decide that they are going to go into a cave and try and bottleneck anybody that's coming up. Who had the tricorder scan that detected them? Was it you, Josh, or was it?
It was me, because Che had climbed up in a tree to get a specimen and saw the shield and scanned it.
Right, but when you guys were in the cave, who had the tricorder that detected that there were only 3 life signs, and 2 of them were breaking off and going out of tricorder range?
I believe it was Moral. It was either Moral or Che.
Okay. Anyway, so come to find out, only one person has come to the cave and has essentially called out the human. They're kind of confused about this because there's really only one full-blooded human in the entirety of the party. And so Moral goes out. The guy is a little surprised that Moral is the commander, because essentially what happened was the field was activated because the Sleason smelled the bile.
I see.
I mean, not the Sleason, the Ractithran, sorry. So And essentially, he made them a deal. Oh, before he actually showed up, Moral and Che had made an arrangement where Che would be like in a tree or behind one or just out of sight as Moral met with him. And there was a miscommunication because Frank says he didn't order what happened to have happened. And anyway, so the Raktathran and Moral are talking, where they find out that this facility is called a food bank. And the Raktathran, his name is Takrathran. He essentially says you guys can go free, and and you know, you just leave us be. Moral wants the prisoners back. But Takrathran is of opinion that they were already counted as dead, so their lives are meaningless. There's disagreements about philosophy between the Federation and the Raktathran. And then Moral gives a signal, and Josh shoots him in the back.
The phaser was on stun. But no, like
yes, I know.
At that point, like the discussion actually kind of broke down. It was obvious that neither side was going to budge. That they were in an impasse and kind of a standoff. And Jimmie, didn't you say something about the other sign was moving closer?
No.
No?
The other two life signs had backed off.
Okay. Well, we didn't know
but
that.
It was just the fact that there was an impasse because the debates were going round and round, and there was no way that Takrathran was going to surrender the prisoners, and there was no way that Moral was going to leave without the prisoners. So he gets shot in the back. As he goes down, or he's down, Moral goes in to what? Check his life signs, or I can't remember what she went in for.
It was that the stun bolt didn't knock him out.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's
So
right. She tried to punch him in the face.
Yeah, he went to make so this is how the Federation, and credit to Frank, he did not let him engage in that fucking trope and punched him square in the face.
Fuck off, trope monster. So anyway,
well,
after he got punched in the face, he took hold of Moral's arm and activated his transponder, and they both beamed away. At which point, Darby, in his second and only wonderful engineering roles, gathers up the communicators. What's up?
We have to be specific on this. This is the first and only time Darby has successfully engineered his way out of a problem.
Oh, that's
sorry, not Darby. Chazine.
Chazine actually engineered himself into a problem several times. This is the first time he's actually worked his way out of it. So he managed to gather everyone's comm badges and worked out some sort of subspace relay that could penetrate the jamming signal to get through to the Tempest, at which point they are beamed to the Tempest. Because the Tempest has landed on the planet. At which point, Shazeen is relieved of duty. Because,
Che is
he
relieved of
shot
duty.
somebody in the back.
Yes, he did. Throughout all of this, because of this whole thing, Che's been suddenly having, like, PTSD attacks. Because he never fully got over what happened in the whole, during the loss of the Potemkin. So he's now starting to have flashbacks and little PTSD attacks.
So at which point, the chief of security also asks for to be relieved of duty for reasons that were never really explained in character, but out of character, she is a faithful Bajoran, and the whole procedure of Moral signaling for Che in her brain to shoot him in the back questioned her whole thinking about how Starfleet is. So she was going through her own mental issues. So, for the away team, Josh is playing the next supporting character, Lieutenant Bison, the acting chief of security. Who is a unjoined Trill. So, this massive plan of attack it is carried out. They plan on rescuing all of the civilian or all of the prisoners, and they are they're bringing along the doctor, another unjoined Trill, whose name was Sozin. I say was, you'll find out here in a minute. They decide to rush the gates, and they fuck this place up. There are enough grenades and whatnot to completely destroy the front guard room. But during this assault, one of the Rakithran gets a lucky shot and essentially shoots the doctor in the face. And she is the first casualty of the characters. So they ultimately they rescue those people and go down into the core or the control pit, the main operations of the facility. Because why did you go there? Because you needed access to the shield, right?
Yeah, we have to deactivate the shield, I believe. And
why did you guys need to go down into the control pit?
Oh,
that's right. The prisoners had Cortex bombs.
Yes, they had Cortex bombs, and we needed to deactivate them, or else anyone who left the facility is going to have their head explode.
Right. So
Suicide Squad style.
So anyway, they go down there. There are a few there are a few Rakithran and Talkrithran. At which point there is a bit of a standoff. I think one of the Rakithran attacked one of the security guys.
No, there's, to put it easily, in the command pit there was Talker Thran, there was a female Thran. I can't remember her name. Like, she had a different name than Takra, and there was
Thran was her name was Zevrakos.
Zevrakos. Yeah, she wasn't a Thran. She was a different, like a different subspecies or a family house.
It's essentially a house. The Rakithran are very they're
Like Klingon.
yeah, they're dynasties. They're families. So the most dominant dynasty rules over everything. Hence why it's the Rakithran. If it was a different family, it would be the Rakti, whatever their name is.
Right. Okay. So she's there, and there's a security bro in the corner who's like covering the room with a gun. And so, like, while we're having this Mexican standoff in this command pit, eventually we manage to convince, like, again, Moral and Talker Thran are arguing,
going around in circles about the debate between the Rakithran belief system and what the Federation believes in, because they're both bound to determine that they are right.
And during this, it seems to impress upon the female lizard person there in the room, because we should mention this. The Rakithran basically look like big lizard people with big teeth.
Yes, and claws.
And claws. They're big carnivorous lizard people. And so it seems to impress upon her that she has perhaps a way out of her race's current situation. And so she also is holding the tablet that controls the Cortex bombs, and she begins to move towards our side of the field, and my chief of security gives her a look, and then sights down his thing at the other guy, and gives her another look that says, "I got you." And she basically, like, begins to walk to our side, and he takes a shot, and my guy takes a shot, and that dude drops like a sack of potatoes.
Yep, because he missed hitting the female.
Yep.
So after the Cortex bombs were deactivated, it's kind of left that they're not going to kill Talker-Thran. So they just end up leaving, and Talker-Thran kind of swears vengeance, leading into a possible recurring villain.
Yeah, but he was defeated, but still lived. So, by his logic, he should have been killed.
But he's not injured.
Still, he was defeated. By his logic, he allowed this worthy left. He left alive.
Okay, we're not going to go into this whole circular argument again.
That was her point. She was proving his logic wrong. She doesn't have to kill him.
No, you were trying to supplant. You were trying to implant your Klingon version of honor into the Rakithran belief system, which is completely different. Man, what are you doing?
Careful.
I know. So that was the end of that adventure.
Yep. And I think that takes us into our last adventure.
No, there was one more, which is probably our most Star Trek-ish episode ever. That was the one session one where it was where the Tempest is technically like it's supposed to be a technological test bed. So if a new technology is developed, the Tempest is one of the ships that gets to test it out. So the Starfleet Corps of Engineers has apparently come up with something that is as good as the Borg Transwarp Network gateway or Transwarp Network. So they take on a team of engineers and this obnoxious scientist, because every one of these episodes like that has to have an obnoxious scientist.
Yes.
And things go horribly awry. This was also kind of an RP adventure or session because Che had a lot to unpack. But during the trip, something goes wrong with the engine, and it deposits the Tempest just outside the event horizon of a black hole. So, I mean, they're still within a very safe distance. I think it's like 2 days before they're in a place where they can't come back from because their engines are out. And there's this mad dash to go through it or to try and fix the problem. But the scientist is not letting them anywhere near the device. And I'm trying to think, was there really anything else that was going on?
No, this was largely a social scene. Like, Che dealt with some issues. Chazine got uppity with the
doctor.
With the doctor, the civilian on our ship.
Yes.
We did what we were supposed to be doing with our ship the entire time, that being that we're an experimental guinea pig vessel to test experimental tech. And then something went wrong.
And then it ends up that this is not new miraculous technology. He essentially created an outer shell and put a Borg transwarp coil in it.
This was discovered by Lister, who literally
tore apart the shell.
Yeah, everyone's like, what in the hell is she doing? And she like bashes the thing in with a hammer. I was proud of her.
So that was called The Next Step. It obviously wasn't.
And yeah, it was all in all a pretty easy episode. We pretty much resolved it in one shot.
Yeah, because I needed the...
Oh, I think this is also when Che got promoted, though. That was fun.
Yes, Che did get... Wait, let me just double check.
Am I still here?
That right quick. Yes. Yes, in The Next Step, you got promoted.
Well, now.
Well, now what?
I came unplugged. I wonder if that means that my desktop audio stops playing, or if that'll come through in recording. So, but yeah, wasn't this the episode where Che gets promoted?
Yes.
Yeah, Che got promoted to lieutenant junior grade, and literally got chewed out by a ton while he got promoted, and didn't feel like he deserved the promotion because he just shot a guy in the back. Why did you delete the thing?
Because I was gonna load up the main thing of... Did I save it? Please tell me I saved it.
You might have saved it. He probably didn't save it. Anyway, so yeah, that was the big event that happened, is that I got a promotion.
Although there was that whole thing that the captain did say, that despite what happened with the previous adventure, the promotion had been approved beforehand, and then he said that if anything like that happened again, you would be booted out of Starfleet. So no more shooting people in the back. There were reprimands for morale as well, but it was more. It wasn't like an official reprimand. It was basically the captain just chewing her out.
And we got a JAG officer assigned to the ship.
I thought he joined the episode before.
No, he joined this one. This is when we actually had time after the Ractithran to like have the personnel change over. He came over with the civilian scientist.
Oh, I did forget to mention that that in the aftermath of the Q adventure in Judgment Shadow, that was also the last adventure so far for Tias, and Olar was only in that for that adventure at the end.
Yeah. But yeah, that was that adventure. We resolved the problem. We discovered his mistakes in using Klingon or using Borg technology that would have brought Borg on this ship like flies, and yeah, we moved on to the next adventure.
Yes, we did.
This was the last adventure of our little pre-season.
Yes.
So, Emily, you only have to endure a little more. I'm sorry.
What?
This has taken a lot longer than I thought it would, but it's okay.
Well, we're kind of going into details.
Yes. But yeah, the last adventure. What was it called?
Well, it was tentatively titled "Line in the Sand," but I changed it to "Ties of Blood and Water."
Because this one had a lot, didn't it?
Well, yeah, because it was the morale-centric adventure. And where is... I did not save that picture, by the way. So I'm going through and trying to find out if I can find it again.
Was it the BGA?
You mean BSG?
BSG?
Yeah, but I found it through looking for Star Trek stations. I mean, I can try and look for it. Josh, did you want to start describing the adventure while I...
Certainly. This took Maral, Chazines, and Che off the ship. The ship was dealing with something else in another quadrant of space, but on the way we deployed in the runabout to check out a civilian station, a mining station, that we'd lost contact with, that was sitting in neutral space. When we arrived there, we found the station in poor repair and its subspace communications offline.
Love you too.
So, Che managed to, with some finagling, dock with the station, to which he basically...
Josh, go ahead and continue. I found the image, but I need to prep my dinner, so I'll be right back.
No problem. So while Che managed to dock it with the station, with comments of, this is obviously why we don't make them this way anymore, and we entered in to find that the station was basically supposed to be about 100 or so people. There were about 30 on deck, I think it was something like that. They'd suffered a lot of loss of life, and their communications were out. Most of their weapons were out. Their shields were out. And basically martial law had been declared. Upon meeting certain members of the station, individuals equipped with chemical propulsion guns, just normal rifles basically, we find out that they've basically been being raided by Klingons. And these Klingons, in about 4 hours, are returning. We can't get a hold of our ship for the same reasons that they can't. Or at least any message and response would take about 4 hours. So we're on our own in this regard. We commence a mad dash, fixing parts of the station, getting power back up, getting shields back online, and readying my runabout for combat. Oh, combat. During this time, we have a little bit of roleplay, light stuff mostly. Mostly development for morale. This is primarily a morale-focused episode. And yeah, the attack then commences. I get to do some small ship versus big ship combat. Chizines runs around like a chicken with his head cut off, trying to repair things. Morale takes over weapons until boarders arrive, in which she departs from ops to start trying to deal with them hand to hand. There's a lot of the stuff that Morale's dealing with that we need to wait for Jimmie to deal with, because this was a Morale backstory heavy episode to round out the season. So I'll just stick to Che's parts. Eventually, Che's runabout goes down, and he beams out at the last minute to avoid immediate death. He does a good job of it, though. He takes out 3 ships. Well, the weapons of 3 ships. And then he begins to just kind of go through the corridors, trying to mop up boarders as well, and get himself to ops. When he gets to ops, he finds out that Chizines is gone down to engineering to try and fix another thing, and Morale is trying to deal with boarders. So and with everything well in hand in ops, he heads down to start trying to take out more boarders as well. He eventually meets Chizines, saves him from an ambush, and sadly, this is where my character's issues get more exacerbated, because during a secondary ambush, Thylic Chizines takes a disintegrator bolt to the back and poofs into nothing. And I think that takes us to the morale-focused part of the episode, which we need Jimmie for. So Emily, thoughts so far?
No.
Nah.
I got nothing.
Just gonna wait peacefully for Jimmie then.
I guess.
But yes, this has been our adventures so far. And they've taken far longer to recap than I thought.
Well, I mean, guess that's kind of how it goes. Sometimes.
Oh, what else? At least I hope that we provided some character ideas and things that we might, or at least a laugh over our antics of trying to be good Starfleet officers and failing miserably.
Well, I got some ideas now.
Okay, so what's going on?
You
What did
need
I
to sum
miss?
up. I've summed up the episode up to Chizine's death. You need to sum up the morale parts because you know them far better than I do.
Okay, so it is revealed that the Klingon raider, the leader of the Klingon raider group, is part of a group called the Blood of Malor, and it's revealed that he carries a dagger carrying some sort of etching that is unique to Moral's father, and it's revealed that this leader, Kemtar, is her half sibling, because apparently her father was also in this Blood of Malor. Although nobody is entirely sure what the group is, it's also revealed that Moral has 12 other half siblings, because apparently her dad was also a raging man whore. So
Wait, okay. But which one was Kenobi then?
the
forgot.
mother was the Denobula.
Oh, then that is something of a surprise.
Yeah. But at some point, her father had left the Blood of Malor and met Moral's mother, because all of the half siblings are older than Moral is. But so did you already go through the starship combat and everything else?
Yep, we got that.
Even the evacuation?
Oh no, the evac thing. Yeah, we evacuated the station on a set of mining skiffs, so that the entire station was evacuated except for those that would be ready to fight.
No, but did you mention the Maelstrom and leaving the station evacuated on their ship?
No, I hadn't gotten to that
Okay.
because that was the end of the episode, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the end.
Yep.
So there's you got to them boarding the station, obviously, because you covered Shazine's death.
Yes.
And then I think that was pretty much it. Kemtar, much like Takothran, was left behind because Moral couldn't bring herself to imprison Blood. Right?
She, by rights, what it came down to is, by Federation standards, she wanted to, and she has to, but told her that there was a bigger force en route.
Right. So they ended up leaving because there was a much larger force because the other siblings were coming.
So he basically said, it'd be best if you left me behind. She did.
Yeah, so he essentially said it would be better if you left me behind, because I'm not sure if you heard any of that. Because there's a larger invasion force, and they'll only hunt you down and kill you if you take me prisoner. So Moral left him there, and they were picked up by another Starfleet ship that was responding to the distress call that was made after they repaired the subspace relay.
Well, she left him there with, after briefing the captain.
Okay, so yeah, the captain agreed with the whole leaving him there, because I forgot she outranked Moral. So, and that was the end of the adventure. So at the end of this little micro season, and Minion looks so angry right now, but Moral has questions about her man or father.
About
4 questions for her man or father. Che is now fed up with losing friends, and I think the only person that has come out of the first season unchanged was Lister. She still hates people. Most people.
Hooray! Happy ending
Hooray!
for everybody.
But yeah, I think that about ends the recap. So I think I'm gonna cut it here, guys.
Well, here, let me just do one thing. Hey, Josh, can you erase those scribbles?
I cannot. Those are Emily's scribbles.
Emily.
You, however, can erase those scribbles because you're DM.
How do I do that?
Just go up to the pointer and select them, and then hit delete.
Oh,
I fixed it.
okay. Thank you. Because I just wanted to show the station. Because I actually saved the picture this time, and I want to keep it.
Hooray! Make a map of it.
I know I saved it. Okay, it's yeah. Choose a file. There it is. It's also a JPEG. I will just have to deal with it. Where did it go? Why did it do that? So this was the station. Okay, so that was the recap.
So, shall I cut it here?
We can cut it here. Emily, if you want to make your character, you can. I will.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm like, I'm here now. So
Okay.
give me a few minutes though. Need to go to the bathroom and stuff.
Okay.
All right. I might go grab a drink as well. The mother is offering alcohol, so I might grab one of those. but and come back in the middle of character creation. So
The mother is offering alcohol.
hey, my parents are kind of rad. Anyway, so yeah, cutting it here. Say goodnight, everyone.
Good night.
Bye.